Welcome to episode 19 of the Wizards of Pod podcast, a podcast of librarians talking about podcasts. My name is Dave, and with me are my co-hosts, Colleen and Sarah. So join us as we discuss new and noteworthy podcasts along with information about libraries in general.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we finally get a day to record this month's episode. It's been a hectic couple of months, and it worries me how busy this summer may be. With that in mind, what have we all been up to this past month?
Well, we haven't been recording podcasts.
No, we haven't.
And we'll blame Nola for that. Thanks,
yes.
Nola. Because,
I would like to do that.
Yes. Because our normal recording day would be Thursday. And then all the meeting rooms got booked. So we switched it to Wednesdays. And then everything fell apart. Mm-hmm. And we weren't available. The room wasn't available. Nothing was available.
And just the month of June, we were talking about this earlier, it was hellish.
Yes.
It was just too much going on. Not a good life.
Yes. Seems like summer started early this year.
It's like not nice out there.
No, but...
No, just like the vibe of summer.
Yeah, it's just, well...
The bad vibe.
It's a good, well, I guess the good thing, to me it seemed like people started coming in earlier.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Lots of people.
Yeah.
Or it could be that we're just...
I mean, it's also because Memorial Day and then Father's Day and
Juneteenth.
And all of that happened.
Yeah.
In the same 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it used to be, this was a time when there felt like very little holidays.
Yeah.
And now...
There's always a reason to celebrate.
Yes. Now there's a lot.
As there should be.
Yes.
Because why not celebrate being alive?
Why not?
Exactly. Okay, so...
I was like, I got lost. I'm like,
So, you ready for the theme? Yeah, let's talk about the theme. Guys.
What's the theme?
We decided that this month's theme will be sustainability as we search for some of the best sustainable podcasts we could find. Sustainability has become an essential topic among libraries nationwide, and it's especially important here on Long Island, with many libraries, including our West Hampton Free Library, becoming members of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. The Sustainable Libraries Certification Program, or SCLP, provides library leaders with a tested, structured path forward to increase your library's commitment to environmental stewardship, economic feasibility, and social equity. With sustainability on our minds, let's get to our reviews.
So I'm going to start our reviews for this podcast. And my first one is called Sustainability Defined. Sustainability Defined is a podcast that defines sustainability, one concept at a time with a touch of humor. Hosted by Scott Breen and Jay Siegel, the podcast explores different topics with help from experts in the field. The podcast aims to advance sustainability efforts and push the boundaries of knowledge in the field. Concepts discussed in the podcast are categorized in 7 sectors: energy, cities, natural environment, transportation, business, policy, and social. The podcast website, www.sustainabilitydefined.com, features a visual representation of these sectors called the sustainability tree. As each topic is discussed, it is placed on the organizational tree to help listeners define what sustainability is. I looked at the website. I thought it was really cool because, especially if you're a visual learner, it gives a nice little look on where each of the categories are and how it works and everything. And it makes everything clear. Makes it all make sense.
I need to see what the sustainability tree looks like.
Looks like a tree.
Wow.
Dum-dum-dum.
With a touch of humor.
Yes, there it is. Episodes are released every 2 weeks, with occasional delays due to holidays and unforeseen circumstances. Which I was going to say, I find this very strange, because have you heard of any other podcasts that had delays in the recordings?
We would never.
We would never.
It's crazy.
Crazy. The podcast has received a high rating of 4.8 stars out of 5, with over 220 ratings. With over 90 episodes in its catalog, it offers a comprehensive exploration of sustainability topics. Episode durations typically range from 25 minutes to over an hour and a half, so it runs the gambit. They vary a lot, so some of them are nice and quick, and some of them got a lot of information, and they go really in depth. You can find Sustainability Defined on all of your popular podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and more.
Very nice.
Yeah.
But I do really want to see what the sustainability tree looks like.
It looks pretty cool. It's neat.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like you said, there's like different areas of sustainability. So I just want to see how it's set up.
And that was one of the things that drew me to choosing that podcast, is because I really like it when, if people have listened before to other episodes, I'll pick podcasts where they integrate their homepage and information on their homepage, a lot with the content that they're discussing in the podcast. So
yeah, I like a podcast that has their own website.
I guess what I'm trying, more than just promoting, we have a podcast and this is what it's about. Yeah. Where it will actually, if you find the topic or something that's really interesting, it'll help you, explore it more in depth.
Right.
I always like those.
Yeah.
My first podcast is Conscious Chatter, and you can find them at consciouschatter.com. The podcast is hosted by Kestrel Jenkins, I'm guessing on the pronunciation of her name. According to the Conscious Chatter website, Kestrel is a storyteller and conscious style maven who believes fashion and ethics can jive and maybe even thrive together. For over a decade, she's been enthralled with asking questions about where our clothes are made, what they are made of, and who made them. From the website's About page, Conscious Chatter reimagines the narrative around sustainability, explores the importance of resourcefulness, questions conscious consumerism, and works to deconstruct how oppressive systems impact the sustainable fashion space. The show is broken down into 6 seasons, with season 6 currently recording right now, as well as having a 6-part series called The Root. So each season of the show has its own theme or goal. So, for example, season 1 includes conversations with industry leaders and brand representatives. In season 1, Plant the Seeds for the Future, more nuanced discussions around sustainability and fashion. And the seasons are robust. Season 1 has 52 episodes, and season 2 has 104. The Root is just 6 parts, and it discusses decolonizing the sustainable fashion agenda, and it's hosted by Dominique Drakeford. So most episodes of the show have a guest and are in like an interview discussion style. And guests that she has hosted on the show include Nellie Cohen, the Worn Wear program manager at Patagonia, and Jenny Silbert, the founder of Rewilder, a sustainable design. The topics discussed on the show include the link between social media and overconsumption, fashionable rental, botanical dyes, fashion resale, and conflict-free diamonds. So it's a very fashion, clothing type podcast. Each episode has corresponding show notes on the website with plenty of additional information on both the guests and the topics, as well as links to anything that they discussed or quoted on the episode. So they do have a really good blog on the website that goes with all the episodes. All of them come in around the 45-minute mark, and the show has a 4.8-star rating on iTunes with 125 reviews, and you can find them on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you stream your podcasts.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. 52
episodes in a season, though.
That's a lot.
I know. It's all, if they do it once a week, that's a whole year's worth.
Do their seasons run they're just a few months long, or are they sometimes it's a year long, sometimes it's a few months?
They didn't actually map out the timeline.
Yeah, it's probably doesn't matter.
Sure.
Just asking questions, Okay, so next up is the sustainability agenda. This podcast is centered around exploring sustainability, the current challenges being faced, what needs to be done, and the future of sustainability. The podcast is hosted by Fergal Byrne, a researcher, writer, and interviewer who has worked for various newspapers, including The Guardian, the LA Times, the Financial Times, and more. He has done research for the BBC and Channel 4 in England, and also is the host of Inspiring Social Entrepreneurs, about entrepreneurs and innovators, and the Drawdown Agenda, based on the best-selling environmental book Drawdown. In each episode, Fergal invites a leading sustainability researcher to discuss a different aspect of the area. Guests include John B. Cobb, theologian, philosopher, environmentalist, and 97-year-old co-founder of Living Earth Movement, a collection of leaders in the fields of theology, business, science, activism, and academia, who are passionate about combating climate change and preserving life as we know it in this planet. Fergal has also invited French anthropologist Professor Philippe Descola to discuss humans' relationship with nature, as well as an historian and best-selling author Rutger Bregman, where he discussed his 2020 book, Humankind, A Hopeful History. I think the show is worth listening for a few reasons. One is that Fergal's accent is British and is adorable. Second is because of the content, of course, which each guest is so well informed, so the topic of sustainability is really interesting to hear about, and the theories that there are for the future we have in the world. But the show started back in 2016 and has over 175 episodes at about an hour each, and has 4.6 stars on iTunes. You can listen on Spotify, Podbean, or search wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's really cool.
Yeah. I really thought that the 97-year-old man was my favorite part of hearing about that podcast, honestly.
Yeah. So the second podcast that I'm going to talk about is Sustainably Geeky. I have to admit, part of the reason why I chose it, because they had geek in it. But the nerds, the nerds represent. Sustainably Geeky is a podcast for the everyday environmentalist, and true to its name, it will turn you into an environmental geek. The show features a group of ordinary people with one thing in common: a healthy respect for the environment and a desire to live a more sustainable lifestyle. Each episode tackles a new subject and occasionally features guests to help go in-depth on some of the more complex topics. These topics range from tips on raising children the eco-conscious way, slow and ethical fashion, to eco-friendly novelty music sensation Ollie Frost's inspiration behind the dozens of his plant-based recipes. Whether you're a hardcore tree hugger or have a mild curiosity about the environment, Sustainably Geeky will help you learn something new about sustainability. The hosts encourage listeners to share their green life hacks and ideas for future shows. Usually the shows are about an hour, but they, like I said, my first one, they run the gambit. This one does too. It's like they could be as short as 40 minutes or they could be an hour and a half, and everywhere in between. It seemed like they had no rhyme nor reason on the length of their show. But it's kind of good, you know. I guess what I'm thinking is the shows that they have their guests on, you know, they tend to go longer because, you know, guests like to, you know, talk about, we like to talk about what they know, you know, and they're enthusiastic about. But the show is rated 5 out of 5 stars. I will, you know, I'll admit, there's only 10 reviews, but it's, you know, it's from what I listened to and everything, it was, did I miss something?
There was a noise.
Oh, jeez. I can't put it in here.
You remember that last
the toilet?
Yeah, the toilet paper coming out of the window, too.
Rated 5 out of 5 stars, but with only 10 reviews. The show is available on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I know that, 10 reviews isn't a lot, but everything that I heard was really good, and I liked it, and I thought, you know, like I said, geeks need to represent.
Probably more reviews than me now. Oh. Get me down right here.
Someday. Do you know when they started? Like how long they've been?
Yeah, and I forgot to write it down, and I can't think of it right now. Oh, I got it right here. They have 63 episodes.
Oh, okay. So
they've been around a while, and they release one a month, so it's not it's not like a weekly thing or anything. So it's been around a while. It's just that it's a monthly show like ours, so there's not a lot of episodes.
We've got 19 and they've got 63, you said.
Yes. And that was as of May. There's like 1 or 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
So my second podcast is The Minimalists, and you can find them at theminimalists.com. So from their website, Emmy-nominated Netflix stars, podcasters, and New York Times bestselling authors Joshua Fields Milburn and Brian Nicodemus. I'm guessing that
sounds like it to me. That sounds good.
They help millions of people live meaningfully with less. The Minimalists have been featured in Time, GQ, ABC, CBS, NBC, BBC, NPR, and they have spoken at Harvard, Apple, and Google. In 2011, hosts Josh and Ryan published their first book, Minimalism, Live a Meaningful Life. and they have a documentary appropriately titled Minimalism that is streaming on Netflix. They've authored now 4 books together, and the titles include Essential, Minimalism, Everything That Remains, and their newest book is Love People, Use Things. Like my other podcast, they keep a very active blog on their website where you can read all of their published essays. Did I mess something up? You gave me a look.
Oh, no. I used to listen to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a fan.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Well, they're like super famous.
Yes.
Some of the published essays on their website include 30-Day Minimalism Game, What is Clutter, and Letting Go of Sentimental Items. The 30-Day Minimalism Game, I've heard of this. I didn't realize it was them. Have you guys ever heard of it? Where it's like the first day you get rid of 1 thing, the second day you get rid of 2 things, the third you get rid of 3, and then you go up to 30.
I like that.
I'm like, in theory that sounds practical, but then I'm like, 30 things? Like, what 30 things?
I know.
A lot of clothes that I could get rid of.
Their show, The Minimalist Podcast, launched in 2016 and currently has 385 episodes. The episodes run anywhere from 30 minutes to over an hour. Their episode subjects include food clutter, career clutter, outgrowing things, professional organizers, panic buying, toxic positivity, book clutter, minimalist weddings, and more. On their website, their episode guide includes links to any books, articles, organizations, and even Instagram accounts that they've mentioned throughout the episode. And they've had guests including radio personality Ken Coleman, Cal Newport, author of the new book Digital Minimalism, and holistic psychologist Dr. Nicole LaPera. They have a 4.7 rating on Apple Podcasts with over 9.5K ratings. So they're super popular. And you can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.
They some of their podcasts, they record live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll do like live shows where they'll go. It's actually bigger, but like they would go to the Performance Arts Theater and they would do their show in front of a live audience. Mm-hmm. Kind of similar to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
You know how him and Jason Mewes, a lot of times they would go and do almost like a skit, but they would record it for the podcast.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Sarah and I have been to a live podcast.
Yeah, we have.
Together.
Yeah.
It was before I started even working here. I had bought the tickets, and then it got like super delayed for COVID.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what we were even talking about. We realized we both had tickets. So
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of fun. Yeah. Okay, you guys. So I'm going to read off the last podcast pick for this episode. So that is Practically Zero Waste from the host. Welcome to Practically Zero Waste, a podcast about making zero waste living as practical as possible. Each episode discusses straightforward, practical changes that we can make that add up to create a big difference environmentally. We explore different companies, products, habits, and practices that make going zero waste easier. Everything we do on this earth has an impact. Let's make it a positive one. The podcast is hosted and produced by Elspeth Callahan and started in October 2018. The show currently has 138 episodes, and they all come in at about an hour. And Elspeth chooses topics meant to make zero waste living less intimidating. So she covers topics such as recycling, food waste, backyard biodiversity, zero waste DIYs, tips for going vegan, zero waste takeout, low waste pet care, and decluttering. And the show also features plenty of guests such as social workers, textile artists, nonprofit founders, authors, and owners of ethical brands, among many more. And depending on each episode's subject, Elspeth will include a list of the show notes of archived episodes where she's talked about like similar topics in the past. So if you just started listening to the show and she had some episode about like starting out zero waste, again, she would link back other past episodes that she's had. And so the show has a 4.8 star rating on Apple Podcasts with 134 reviews, and you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Yay.
Very nice. Glad you read that one. Because every time we saw her name, I was going, Elizabeth.
You know, it took me a minute to realize it was Elspeth. The summer, guys. It's begun. Isn't that great?
Why do you look so confused?
Are you trying to figure out where...
Page 6 is.
Well, you made me... You don't have to look at page 6, though. We just have to look at 7 and 8 now.
Yeah. No, I got myself messed up and I moved things around. All right. I'm found. Not lost anymore. So, library news. Summer reading has officially begun. Come in and sign up for the Adult Summer Reading Club and receive your welcome packet to start earning tickets.
The Gazebo Concert Series starts Thursday, June 29th. Concerts kick off each week at 7:30 p.m.
Monday movies on the Great Lawn begin July 10th, with Muppets Take Manhattan starting at 8:23 p.m. Movies always start shortly after sundown.
Kids on the Green programs start Tuesday, July 11th. All programs start at 5:30 p.m. unless otherwise noted. The first program will be Pure Joy with Paige Patterson.
Starting in July, the library will be introducing a Spice of the Month Club. The first spice will be mango powder.
Cool. You're listening to the Wizards of Pod podcast, a podcast of professional librarians talking about podcasts. For more podcast news and updates, follow us on Twitter at PodWizards. You can find a link to all the podcasts we've discussed in the show notes. Music for this podcast was brought to you by Ben Sound Royalty-Free Music. You can check out the great collection of music at www.bensound.com. Yay! Thanks for being patient with us as we get our acts together.
That was the fastest we've ever recorded.
I know.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's only 3:12 right now.